Um, I wanted to tell you guys about Young Justice, season 4. The most epic show that is,
The Phantom?
yeah, Young Justice Phantoms. The most epic Young Justice season as of yet. And I pretty much say this for every season that comes out because they outdo themselves every season. Storyline wise, just like phenomenal. Everything. That shit distracted me so hard.
Oh man, I don't know if any of this is gonna show up anywhere, but if nobody gets to see this, it needs to be known. So Danny's just going to town on this fucking sandwich, right? And there was a crumb in his beard.
Yeah.
Now instead of trying to,
I was hoping I didn't see
dude,
that.
that's all we saw. The whole podcast stopped.
In mid sentence, I just like kept saying the same thing because I'm like, what is he doing?
Dude,
I thought he was trying to tell me something.
He's standing there, face fully in the frame, just all
Yeah.
up in the frame. There's a crumb off to the side, and he just keeps on flicking it with like 3 fingers, not trying to get off the screen or not. Just keeps on flicking it, and we're supposed to act like we don't see that.
Oh god, that was funny, man.
Oh man.
Whoops.
But yeah, so Young Justice,
Beard problems.
Young Justice season 4. The story has been concentrating more about Vandal Savage and his origin, and they're delving really deep into his origin.
He goes back. Man,
He's
he goes way back.
he's from the caveman era. He's immortal, so he's lived through all of human history.
Mhm. Great
And
character.
he has been pivotal in this universe. He has been pivotal to every step of human evolution. Okay, he was Genghis Khan. He was like any great conqueror. It was him, pretty much, but under a different name. They show you how like the Lord of Chaos and the Lord of Order came to be, how they affected Earth, how Vandal Savage made a deal with the Lord of Chaos because he was fucking up the planet. How Vandal Savage was the one that started the metagene. So he was the cause of the metagene because he had so many children, and because he's immortal, that gene in him gave different types of powers. Later on, one of his sons founded Atlantis, the continent of Atlantis, and he was given magic by the Lords of Order. So now you have what did they? So the people with the magic are called Homo Magi. You know, how they have Homo sapien and Homo erectus and stuff like that, the different types of human evolution. So here they gave more, like they have the Homo Magi. I forgot what the meta ones are called. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is just because the story of Vandal Savage being told in the background of the show, while the main story is happening at the same time. Phenomenal story work. This last episode of Young Justice had to deal with faith, as in religious faith, and Dan just brought up a second sandwich.
That's how I was letting it go. That's how I saw it. I was
couldn't.
focused on everything you're saying, and then I saw him move faster than any man has ever moved to grab his sandwich.
I
Took a
couldn't.
bite,
It's
and I was
just
like, I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna focus on this.
it's like his hand went out of frame, came back with a sandwich into his mouth. Like it was
I
just.
want to imagine that all around him, there's just sandwiches off frame.
It's delicious.
What sandwich is it?
Peanut butter and
Oh,
Nutella.
okay, yeah, that is good. It was about religion, not about religion, but it had like religious tones in it. They introduced another Muslim character, and this is one of the first shows that I've seen in a long time that has portrayed religion, not just Islam, but also Christianity, in a good way, and in a almost correct way. I have an article here from comicbookreader.com by Brent Stewart that I just wanted to read this little piece of it. So the character's name is Khalid, He is Muslim, he is a magician, and he's a doctor. So he's dealing with like three different identities, right? Science, magic, and then faith, right? Which is like all three different things. He has three different identities, and through
some of which contradict sometimes.
Exactly. And they did this beautifully, dude. I was literally sitting there watching this, like mind blown by how they did this. So Dr. Fate is testing the students of Zatanna because they're trying to go fight the Chaos Lords. He's like, you guys are not ready, and he's testing them. And this is his test, right? He has these three sides of him that are fighting, and the way he overcomes these like things are by through his faith. So I just wanted to read this real quick. It is in his faith that Khalid ultimately finds satisfaction. While the words of science and magic seems to conflict, Khalid stands by his faith that both are just different tools handed to him by his God to make the world a better place. He refers to the difficulty of his struggle with the tension as his jihad, and they also use this word correctly, which I was really like happy about. Usually when you hear about jihad, you're hearing it from a terrorist point of view, like we're doing jihad, we're fighting a holy war, blah blah blah. That's not what jihad means. It can mean that in very specific instances, which is not how they're using it. They're just committing crimes against humanity. Jihad means inner struggle, and that's what he was having. Using an expression that proves Young Justice does not shy away from the specificity when discussing Khalid's religion. Rather than turning Islam into a blandly genetic faith indistinct from any other religion, the series deals the belief system on its own terms, while later the same episode putting it alongside Zatara's Christianity as a unique but nevertheless present fixture in the landscape of religion. So in this, and the way he reconciles his three identities, he starts to recite the call to prayer. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but before the prayer happens, you might have seen it in movies, but there's a call to prayer where like someone in the mosque will, it kind of sounds like singing, but they're just like reciting this call to prayer.
Is that like that thing like back in the day when we used to chill in your house? You used to have like a clock
that's
or
exactly
something.
it. So what the clock was reciting was the call to prayer, and what happens is back in the day that you didn't have apps or anything, so you would go in the mosque, you would do the call to prayer to let everybody know the next prayer is about to happen, so they would come. So he recited that to himself as a part of his faith, and using that to strengthen his resolve and combine all these identities together. Like they said, his other two identities are tools. His science and his magic are tools given to him by his God to do what he needs to do to help humanity. On the other hand, we go to Zatara, who's Zatanna's father, who is the current holder of the helmet of Naboo, which is Dr. Fate, which we find out in the same episode. Naboo was a son of Randall Savage that was given immortality through the helmet by the Lords of Order. They combined his consciousness into the helmet with the power of, with a conduit of their power. So the person who wears it interacts with Naboo, who is a Lord of Order, through the energy beings of dude, this is just like, it's so like, as a comic book geek, like all this explanation, all this exploration of these characters that I haven't seen before are just so fucking awesome. It was just like amazing to me. So he stands there behind. So in his mind, Naboo is just a Dr. Fate with the helmet, and then you just see Zatara without the costume. Okay. They're standing face to face, and then the Ankh appears behind Dr. Fate. If you don't know what that is, that's the Egyptian symbol of life, or the key to life, which looks like a cross but with like a loop at the top. Yeah.
I know that from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
I
it's
actually
called
know
an
it because
Ankh.
of Doctor Fate. That's all. It's
Yeah.
always been commonly known to be like his symbol.
Yeah, and then Zatara is standing there, and he starts reciting, which is honestly like my favorite Christian or Catholic prayer, is Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in heaven
that's
as
the Our
it's done
Father?
on earth.
Our
Huh?
Father.
Yeah.
Our Father.
Our
I
Father,
don't remember
yeah,
anymore. I'm pretty sure it's the Our Father.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
think
Hallowed
that's
be
what-
thy name,
it's
thy
been a mad
kingdom
long.
come, thy will be done in heaven as it's done on earth. Yeah, I always liked it. It's just like I don't know. It just sounded really good to me for some reason. Yeah. So he recites that because he was explaining to Naboo, like Naboo is thinking, like he's like, oh, you're doing all this on your own, but you don't realize that you're actually being helped, right? You can't do anything without me as a partner, and then like you've touched all these other people, and these other people have touched you, and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just think like bringing religion as a touchy subject being done in this way, I don't know, it was very beautiful to me, and I was very excited about it. And the show's just been phenomenal throughout with the stuff they did last season with like human trafficking, relating it to the real world, and as doing meta-human trafficking throughout the universe as weapons. I don't know, it's just like they touch upon a lot of things that's happening in the real world, and they transform it in a way to use it into this universe that they're building, and it's been phenomenal. So I gotta shout out the writers. I do not know their names. I have to look them up. Of the
That's
show,
pretty cool. That they could, shed light to Islam and not villainize it. Like, because I feel like Americans immediately, it's like, oh, Islam,
I mean, we
terrorists,
talked about that in Squid Game,
automatically.
Remember?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
where it was just like,
yeah, oh yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's like, oh, look at how they portray
It's,
someone who's Muslim as opposed to how Americans would do it.
yeah.
Like if Squid Game was an American show, he would have been the one who was the mastermind behind everything and was trying to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's pretty cool to normalize it and see like Muslims are just normal
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
Well, one thing
It's,
that you mentioned that I always thought was really cool in comics, or honestly in any good type of storytelling, is when you take something like that and you put it in this like fantastical world and make it such an important like part of it. Like if you, I mean, look at remember the issue of Batman when Batman and Robin, I believe it is, when Damian dies and it's like just there's no words.
Oh,
it's the silent-
yes. It
And
was.
I mean, here it is, Batman, the world's greatest detective, blah blah blah. But what is that story about? That story is about a grieving father,
Yes.
and it's done so well. You know what I'm saying? If you take something that's realistic and put it in this crazy world, and even to these people who are gods, like something is, simple. You would think to them is like something actually major, a big deal.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben is always going to be the pivotal moment that made Spider-Man Spider-Man. It's like you
Yep.
take these little things that, okay, this guy can lift up the world and do all these crazy things, but look at what can bring him down, or look what matters to him in his type of world. That's how you relate to these people. So, no, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
man,
that they touch on religion like that.
Yeah, Young Justice has been killing it always with storytelling, and yeah, no, I had to mention it on the podcast. It's just been, it was a really exciting episode for me. So it's just like, in general too. So
Yeah, I've always said Young Justice. I've tried a couple times. I don't like it. Every time you talk about Young Justice, it sounds great. So if we could just get you